welcome to the United Show for a special coming out to you today because we've got some news finally. Not so good news, but we got news. And I'm joined by James Dixon today. He's going to give his take on what's going on. How you doing, James? You all right?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Just recovering from yesterday like everyone is, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't the best. Wasn't the best, but we got news. So let's go straight into it. Let me find out what we've got here. We've got a bit of news that's just come out on Sky Sports News about 45 minutes ago saying that Adrian Rabiot, £15 million deal has been agreed with personal terms to be talked about for personal terms to be negotiated before it gets completed. But what do you think of this deal, Adrian Rabiot coming into our central defence midfield to be able to maybe help us improve because we haven't got De Jong in? What do you think of that one?
I don't know, mate. I'm kind of split on it, to be honest. First of all, it's the frustration of chasing De Jong for 3 months, and then as soon as another club seems to come in, then we're second favourites all of a sudden, and we should have had that tied up a long time ago. And if there wasn't any guarantee that De Jong was going to come to Ten Hag, then we shouldn't have spent that long on that deal, to be honest, because there was plenty of other stuff that needed to be done. So frustration from that side. But then you've also got the side of it where people are so disappointed with Fred and McTominay's performance, and you know we have to go into the market for someone, and maybe we're living a bit in the past where you know we had a bigger pull when it came to players. I mean, we got to realise we finished sixth in the league last season. We've got European football barely. We're not looking like getting in the Champions League again anytime soon. So maybe the level of player that we have to attract, maybe it isn't a Frankie de Jong, maybe it is an Adrian Rabiot, maybe it is a Marco Arnautovic. I don't know, but yeah, crazy. Things have changed a bit, mate.
Exactly what I was thinking. I was like, we're now the Arsenal that we were talking about a couple of years ago, saying, listen, they were the banter club. We've become the banter club now, and we just got to deal with it. I feel like these big players, we can't go for them. We got to go for one, maybe two rungs down now, and then hopefully get a little bit higher to then be able to attract them again. So it's like a two-stage thing now, two-stage rebuilding thing that it looks like to me. So yeah, you know what? I'm going to have to start actually thinking that way myself. There's no point thinking, right, we need a De Jong, we should be battering all these teams. We actually shouldn't be no more. Like, me and you, we've grown up, we've loved United. All we've seen is win, 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 win. Win the league, win the league, win the league, win everything. Or just come, second place. Now it's like, I've never felt this before. So it's just weird. It's very, very weird. But, we were lucky. Most people actually live this life for all their life. So
yeah,
we've got...
That's the thing that people don't get. Like, we're in a very privileged situation where we have witnessed and been able to attract some of the biggest players. And I must admit, when the whole Frankie news originally came out, I was like, if we didn't have Ten Hag as a manager, there's no way we'd be getting linked to this player because he's levels above where we are at the moment. Like, he has no right in the prime of his career to want to come to a club that is sixth in the Premier League from Barcelona. And in the Europa League, like, there was no link there. There was no right from Man United to get him. On the whole, like, whole of Manchester United thing, like, if you look like post Ferguson, so post 2013, like, so when David Moyes came in, we still had a bit of a pull because we won the league the season before, right? We were still a massive club, still had a pull. So, like, we were able to bring in players. I know we didn't quite get Toni Kroos over the line or Gareth Bale or whatever, but in theory, the pull was still there, right? And then you look at the next one, it was still kind of there under LVG, like, because we'd only had Moyes for a season and like LVG was a world-renowned manager and all that kind of stuff. So we still had a bit of a pull. And then once it had been a while since we'd won stuff, we brought Jose Mourinho in, who has his own pull because he's like a very successful manager. He's prestigious. He's one of the most, he's a born winner, isn't he? And so we had that pull. And really, since Ollie took over, we've not really had that pull as a club anymore. We make the odd commercial signing, like your Lukaku, like your Pogba's, but it's like, can we attract world-class players anymore? Like, were you really expecting us to go and get Frankie de Jong, Darwin Núñez, Anthony? Really?
Anthony, maybe, because it seemed like he was really wanting to come to, join Ten Hag again. So that could have been something, but it looks like we're not willing to push the boat out, knowing that we're in this position. We have to push the boat to get them kind of players, especially if they want to come and he's at them levels and he wants to say, yeah, I'm happy to come. We need to pay the extra now. And that's the penalty for being where we're at. And that's all I see. And with this Rabiot situation, it's another one of, I'm sure it was a few years ago we were linked to him. And I was thinking, maybe if he comes then, you know, it might be a good, you know, I was trying to look into how he is, what kind of player he is and how good he could be for us. And now it's like years down the line and we're in for him again. And I'm like, just thinking in my mind, what's going on? Like, why are we going for people at the end of their career when we were talking about getting in youth players for the, you know, for the long term? And then I was thinking about the Man City situation. You know, like they had like 3 or 4 years without a striker that they really wanted to get. They decided they're not buying anyone because they got a good enough squad. I ain't buying anyone if I can't get the exact person I want.
Yeah.
And maybe that may be Ten Hag saying, you know what, I'm not going to be a fool and spend like nearly my budget on someone who I don't really want. Let me just get in a stopgap player for very cheap that ain't really going to cost much until I can get what I want. It's not ideal, but maybe that is what he's thinking. And that's the only thing I can come to the conclusion of, like, you know, I can't get De Jong this year. Maybe I get him next year. So let me bring in Adrian Rabiot for 15 mil.
Yeah, but stopgap solutions are there for like winning teams and they're there for short periods, right?
Yeah.
If you look at our stopgap solutions over the past 6-7 years, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Cristiano Ronaldo, Edinson Cavani,
every year.
Odion Ighalo, Arnautovic potentially. Like they're all stopgaps, right? So it gets to a point where eventually you have to stop looking at it as a stopgap and you're literally like, there's no transfer strategy here. There's none. Absolutely no transfer strategy. Like I said, we're not proactive at all. We never look going forward. Like if you take the club across the road as an example, if you take City, like you said, they're waiting for their striker. But on the other hand, you've got someone like Fernandinho who was coming to the end of his career. They got his replacement in, 3 years in advance? They got Rodri in. Not great first season, give him time to bed in, and now he looks like one of the best DMs in the world.
Yeah.
Like comfortably. He's bred into that position. He knows exactly how Pep wants him to play, and he slots effortlessly into that team. They prepare years in advance in every position, and it shows, mate. Their preparation is superb. Ours is non-existent.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. To be fair, like looking at it from the beginning of this season, I was thinking, right, we got lots of time. We're going to get most of the players in through the door early, going to get our business done so we can get a full pre-season with his new players and his old players, figure out what's what and kick on. We're here today, the season started, and we've only got 2 players in, and only one of them started. Like 3 players in, okay, and 2 of them started, sorry.
Yeah.
I've got to see Malacia get involved, first of all, because he brings a bit of dynamism to the game that we actually need. Forces play. He's proactive, as the manager always says. That's the word he uses. And you've got people like Shaw, who's just reverting to his last season tactics, the way he was playing. And too many of us were playing like that the last game. And that's what I felt. You know, we got to have some players who are going to change what we were doing last season. And the more players that you have on the pitch that can change it, the more of an effect we can have. And okay, we're struggling in that midfield. Let's see. Look, if he comes in, I'll be backing him anyway. I will see how good he can do for us. And then we'll treat him just like the rest. If he plays, I'll treat him game by game. That's all I do. I look at the games and I say, look, this is how you played. This is what I thought you did. And if he does well, great. I think he's got a chance to do better. Obviously, you're going to do better than the other boys because he's obviously Champions League proven and all of that. But again, he's getting to the end of his career and all that. But look, it's just very, very disappointing to be linked to these players now. You know, all the players.
I think my main worry with Rabiot really is the fact that when I look at the performance yesterday and I look at the trouble of Manchester United over the past few years, we just lack characters. We have so many people that tend to hide or just like sulk or whatever when things go wrong, when things get tough. And that fan base, like I said yesterday, is toxic at the moment and it turns very quick. And Rabiot has a bit of a reputation as a bit of a sulk and not a strong character. And like he's a bit of a character and a bit out there and, you know, doesn't always not consistent in any way, shape or form. And I just think it's probably the opposite of what we would need. Is he better than Fred? Is he better than McTominay? Like, yes, in theory he is. But I just think it's a bit of a risky signature at the moment. I mean, at 15 million or whatever the price is, and hopefully the wages are all right, then yeah, maybe it's worth a punt. And I'm with, like, if I've always had the opinion that if Ten Hag wants the player, then I'm going to back. Then I'm going to back them, right? And I'm going to support them.
Yeah.
I'm going to back them and support them when they wear the shirt, whether the manager wants them or not. But if Ten Hag wants them, I want them because he's the manager and he makes the decisions, right? It's just the question of if Ten Hag wants them or not. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, we don't really know. The Arnautovic link is interesting because he's had him when he was number 2 at a club before, I think in Holland somewhere. So there is a link within there. So maybe he does want Arnautovic, and maybe he sees something in him that we don't see. The Rabiot one's a bit strange, but if he wants him, then bring him on.
Right. So let's talk a little bit more about this guy. Let's get his face up again as well, because I've got a few faces up. So the Rabiot is there, in case you've not seen what he looks like or you've forgotten what he looks like. That is not Arnautovic, that is Rabiot. And Marko Arnautovic is right here playing for Bologna. So this is the guy that remember playing for Stoke, if I remember rightly. And he also went to West Ham. There as well. And then he moved on different countries and everything. So obviously I remember him. He had a little bit about him. I do remember that. He is a brute, kind of the shape of him. It reminds me of like an Ibrahimovic shape type of player.
Yeah.
But obviously not as good as Ibrahimovic. But yeah, getting linked to him now in these years, I'm just wondering how. But again, I feel like we're making stopgap decisions right now, lastminute.com decisions of, right, it's getting to the end of the thingy. We can't let that window close with no players in. So, and if they're not, I don't know what kind of conversations the board is having with Ten Hag, but I can only imagine we ain't going to get the Sescos. We ain't going to get anyone, like of top names that we need. So what's next? Someone who he's thinking, right, I've had Arnautovic before. And look what he did with the player from West Ham who went to Ajax and he was doing really well in Champions League. What's his name again? Striker. Yeah, Haller, Sebastian Haller. So he goes there. We think he's not the best. He's not the best to play. Didn't have a good time in the Prem. Goes over there, bangs up the league, bangs up Champions League, because obviously it's a different level, different kind of stuff, but he bangs it up in the Champions League. Now, maybe we're thinking the same kind of thing about Arnautovic. Maybe Ten Hag knows something that we don't, like in terms of his type of football. This is the kind of player I want in my striker position, and he will do well with my striker position. Maybe, but I can see him doing okay. But it's just one of them things. It's like, really, we're going to come up against Liverpool, and we got Arnautovic, and they got, they got Darwin, they got all these boys, and we come up against City, and they got Haaland. It's like, come on. How are we going to really challenge against that kind of stuff? We're not. We're definitely not, are we? We're at the different stage, as you were saying. So you tell me what you think anyway on this one, in a bit more depth.
I mean, I think comparing ourselves to City and Liverpool at the moment, unfortunately, as much as we want to, it is kind of a pointless exercise, to be honest. They're streets ahead of us and miles ahead of us. And maybe we need to be comparing ourselves to Newcastle, to West Ham, to Wolves, and then to maybe Spurs, Arsenal, Chelsea, like if we're looking up. But realistically, like, he's had him before. Could he do a job? Yeah. And a player that fits a system is always going to do better than a player that doesn't, right? So if they fit a system and they buy into the manager's beliefs and they give everything for his system, and just like the professionalism is good and all that, and he does have some technical ability. If you've seen him before, then he clearly has technical ability. His age is a bit of a worry, but you just never know. It could work out. And on the face of it, it doesn't seem like a great signing at all, but it could work out. So yeah, am I excited by it? Not really, I guess. But Ten Hag knows him. If Ten Hag wants him, then we've got to buy into it and just hope he does well. I think this was my worry with losing Ronaldo all along, right? And people were like, "Oh yeah, if he doesn't want to be here, get rid of him. Get rid of him." Thinking that we're going to sign some otherworldly striker that's going to replace him and score as many goals. It's like we were never going to be able to attract. Not that the striker market is great at the moment, anyway.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
We're never going to be able to attract a world-class striker. So we had to keep Ronaldo. And I still think we have to keep Ronaldo. Like, we lost yesterday with Ronaldo on the pitch for like half an hour. God knows what, and he was probably one of the better players when he came on. Like, God knows what we do without him all season. Like, we knew we couldn't rely on Martial staying fit and consistency levels and stuff. So it's a big issue. Like, maybe if he comes in and Ronaldo stays, and we managed to get one more, and we get a midfielder. Maybe you look at it and go, right, we've got five players in. We've kept Ronaldo. Yes, they're not all amazing, but like I remember Cam saying ages ago from United View, he was like, people are expecting us to get all these world-class players. He's like, what you may see Ten Hag do, and he said this all the way back in May, he said, what you may see him do is just get these like average to good players that fit his system, get them playing a certain way, and then you replace them one by one, two at a time, three at a time in future windows with higher class players. But first, you've got to get playing a certain way and get the team used to the philosophy and stuff. And I said yesterday I had a problem with it because realistically, Ten Hag wants us to play a certain way. And how long did we play that for? 10 minutes. And then we reverted to type and started booting the ball longer and trying to fight for second balls. And it's like, the fan base just, I don't think we're patient enough in this era, in this social media era. I don't think we're patient enough for a Ten Hag approach style of football. I really don't. It didn't work under Van Gaal, and I don't think it's going to work now.
So do you I was looking at it yesterday and I was thinking, why did that happen? And I'm thinking more along the lines of because we didn't have a striker and we had to do makeshift positioning, that meant players who are not used to playing in that position could not stretch the team, could not do anything in them areas. All that one-touch play that we're seeing Martial, Sancho, Rashford doing pre-season, that was never going to happen with Eriksen and Bruno up in them areas. And then you had, like I say, Shaw, he was injured for quite a while. Malacia was showing he's going to play them balls as soon as Rashford makes the run. He's going to overlap and he's going to get back. He's going to be proactive. All that stuff wasn't there. So that's why I'm watching. I'm looking at Fred. I'm like, Fred, what's happening? What happened to you? Do you not have options? Because then I'm looking at it thinking, players don't have options because certain other players were not moving again. So you see Martinez looking on the ball, waiting to find someone again. It's like the same as last year when you look at it, everyone's looking. Freddie's like, I ain't got no option. Pre-season, he had options everywhere. Rashford made one little move, he's put in. Like anyone makes, for some reason, nobody was making runs again. And I just feel like we need to have our best players on the pitch to stand a chance to do what Ten Hag wants to do. And I feel we definitely didn't field our best starting 11 on paper. I don't think if everybody picked a team, that would be your best starting 11. I don't know. You can look back at it in hindsight now and say that didn't work and all of that, but I would even have played Elanga. He's played up front before. I would have rather played Elanga in a position which he's more used to than having a midfielder play up front. It just doesn't make too much sense, but we'll see if that ever works down the line because I don't think it will.
Well, I think it wasn't so much the fact that Eriksen can't work as a false nine. I think it's more the fact that you're taking him out of a position where he's more effective. And when you dropped him back deeper in the game, like later on in the game, he looked far more effective.
Very good.
And like a 6 in Ten Hag system's very, very important, right? And they need to be press resistant because they need to come drop deep, get the ball on the half turn. Paul Scholes said it in his Instagram post, like get the ball on the half turn and then look to play the ball through the lines, right? And beat any kind of press. And unfortunately, yesterday, like it was twofold, right? The people at the back weren't quick enough, and it's very easy to blame them. But then there was no movement, like you said, off the ball. The movement off the ball was non-existent, right? So there was no options for the person on the ball, whether it be De Gea, Martinez, or Maguire. There was no options for any of them.
100%.
Now, if you have Eriksen playing further back and you have an actual striker, Eriksen's very press resistant, right? So he can drop deep, receive the ball in tight spaces, turn, take 2 or 3 people out of a game and create that chance quickly, right? As would De Jong if we signed De Jong. Rabiot, I don't really know enough about him recently. I've not seen much of him in the past year or two to know whether he's good at that. But what we do know is that Fred's not very good at that and McTominay is not very good at that. Exactly. And that's going to be a big, big issue if we want to play that style of football, because ultimately what's going to happen is we're not going to move enough off the ball and the fans are going to get on the back of De Gea and he's going to kick it long, which is exactly what happened yesterday again and again.
Yeah. We've got this from Benny. Benny said, James, do you think the board are to blame for Ten Hag? Do you mean for Ten Hag not bringing in players? Is that what he means? I assume that's what he's meaning.
I mean, like the board the board and the owners are to blame for a lot of the football club. My stance on that is fairly strong. And the protest yesterday, I'm all behind them, and I want to get the owners out of the club. I've said that for a long time, and I'll do anything if anyone's got any ideas and stuff that don't involve walking out of games, because I think that doesn't work. But if you've got any practical ideas about getting the owners out of the club, I'm all for it. Now, one of the issues this summer, I think, is actually people are saying, oh, Ten Hag's not been backed. I actually think he's been backed arguably too much in the De Jong situation, where Mertens and Arnold actually flew out to Barcelona. We've spent so long on one person because Ten Hag was adamant that that's his man. We've almost backed him too much and said, yeah. In years gone by, Woodward would have stepped in and probably just gone, oh no, we'll just throw 90 million at someone and make them a marquee signing and get them there for the shirt unveiling, and we'll make it a commercial thing. Whereas this season, it's like, no, Ten Hag wants this player. We're going to throw everything these 13 weeks into getting that player. And unfortunately, it's not worked out. Now, the board aren't to blame for that. Ten Hag is to blame for that if, and it's a key if he's basically given the board some reassurance that no, it's fine. De Jong's told me he's coming. Like, you just wait it out. He's just waiting to sort this wages stuff out with Barcelona. He says he wants to come. He's coming. Because it's very evident that Ten Hag wants Frankie. He said it in press conferences. He's as much as said it in press conferences. We need a player like Frankie de Jong. When the right player comes available, we'll get him, etc., etc. But for the overall situation at United, I clearly blame the board. I blame the board for the last 18 years since the Glazers took over. I blame them for the demise of the football club since then. Ten Hag, I'm going to back him as much as I can. I'm going to back him while he's manager and while he's in the dugout at Manchester United, like I'll back every player that wears the shirt. But Ten Hag did look, like that comment said, he looked a bit shell-shocked yesterday. It was like, well, you're not playing Groningen anymore, mate. You're playing in the Premier League and it's a bit different. You can't get away with this slow football. Like, all these people thinking you could just remake Ajax 2.0 and it'd do well in the Premier League in 2022. Like, we've got a man here that played in the Premier League. Like, it's a bit different than playing in the Eredivisie, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely is much more higher ability levels from every team in the league. Maybe in that league you've got two or three teams which maybe will push the top team, and then all the rest are pretty much going to be easier to play against. But Premier League is no joke, mate. Everyone is just a struggle. There's high levels up there, and you got to be able to deal with that, just like we felt on Sunday. So that's just Brighton. We got Liverpool coming soon. We even got Brentford next week, so that's going to be a tough one away. Which, well, I expect us to win that one because I think they're defensively not as good. So we should be able to break them down. Hopefully, Martial will be back as well. I just want to see Martial back and Malacia starting on the left as well. And then I think it will be better. But what you got here? Nathan, have you experienced this mess when you played? I experienced a lot of things. I experienced relegation, promotion, winning the league, playoff loss, final in Wembley. I've experienced everything, to be fair. So, yeah, but there's not much that I haven't experienced. I've played in every single league in the country, from National League up to the Prem and back down. So, yeah, it's you have mad kind of players with mad attitudes. You have players, everyone who does the right thing. So, yeah, it's just coming from there. It's just mad to just take this all in. It's just taking it all in and just trying to be positive about it all. I'm still positive. It's only one game. I know we've got we've not used the right option this game, but I do still feel that there's some players in that squad that I want to see given a chance and I believe can do something. Like a Zidane Iqbal, for example. I want to see him come in and just given a chance. The fact that we've got Fred and McTominay, I'd rather see a Zidane get given a chance and see whether he can get hold of the ball and be nice and comfortable on it, because he showed it. Why not give him that chance? I'd rather see a Garnacho yesterday on the left and giving him a chance because he looked so blistering quick against a good team. I would have loved to see him on the left, put Rashford up top or whatever, and seen those three. And at least you have that kind of similar pace and power in all three positions up front. That's what I would have liked to see. But again, it's maybe giving him a chance too soon to start, But, when you got no options, you just look at what you got. Like he said, if we ain't got the options, I'm going to look to develop a player in the squad. So that was an opportunity to do it for me. So,
well, personally, I think, and I mentioned it on Twitter yesterday, but with the atmosphere being so toxic in Old Trafford, I actually think when we play away from home, it's an easier time to bed players in. I think the Brentford fixture is much easier than the Brighton fixture. I think it's easier from a club point of view. I don't think they're as good as Brighton. I think it's easier from a hostility point of view. I don't think they're going to get any kind of near the level of toxicity that they would at Old Trafford. So I actually think that it's a real chance to bleed some of the youngsters in. So maybe Iqbal should get a few minutes. Maybe Garnacho should get a few minutes. Jimmy Garner, if you're going to play, if you're going to play McTominay in one of the eights further up, then Jimmy Garner probably deserves a shout. Rashford hasn't done much, so Garnacho definitely deserves a shout. Dalot and Shaw were both awful, frankly, yesterday. So why not give Laird and Malacia a shout? And there's people that deserve a chance there. So at the moment, realistically, what has Ten Hag got to lose? Like the fan base are honestly, they're at an all-time low at the moment in belief in the football team. And I actually think if we'd have turned up yesterday and you'd have seen a Garnacho on the team sheet, you'd have seen a James Garner, a Zidane Iqbal, and Malacia on the team sheet, I think you would have got a bit more support out of the crowd. I mean, from me, you'd have got exactly the same, but I think from a lot of the crowd, you'd have probably got a bit more support.
Yeah, true, to be fair. And it just would have shown that he kind of living by them kind of the way he's been living in the last few years as well. And it would have taken the pressure off, as you say. And if we would have even lost, you would say, listen, it's no problem. Like, we've got young players, we're trying them out, we're seeing how good they are. It wouldn't have been so much of a problem. But on the other hand as well, I did look at it as a point of, right, he's now seen what that first team were doing last year. So you can't, when a manager comes in and just doesn't give someone a chance, that's not what the case now. He's given most of those players that were playing last year that game. He goes, right, you're starting for me. Now, if you don't perform, I'm going to try the other guys. And if they're better, then great. But, on the other hand, you could have gone, I'm going with my guys, lose the game and go, I told you should have played the old guys that were good enough. So I think it's better this way round in terms of, for media kind of problems. Potential media problems which could happen from people saying, you're not giving me a chance. You just come in and just didn't give me. Now he's giving him a chance. Let him now put in his boys. Malacia now can start because Shaw's had a bad game. Please just put him in now, and then he could hopefully keep his position for the whole season, and there'll be nothing to worry about on that position. So that's what I'm hoping to see. And I'm still hopeful. I just can't wait. I can't believe it's a week till the next game. I want to see a midweek game so we can just get it out of our system and move on. But we have to wait. We have to be patient and see what we can do here. So look at these last things and get our last comments in if we need to. De Gea again was poor. He gives the defense no confidence. And Adi says Man United is not aware of the situation they're in because you look at City and Liverpool. It breaks my heart to see how we are doing in the transfer market. That's just true. And also on the De Gea situation, I feel like he had no options as well. Like,
he didn't have any options yesterday.
He didn't, did he? And I'm thinking, you can't kill him when he doesn't have options. When he has options and he boots it out or something, then you can kill him. But I'm looking at it, quite a few of them. Freddie had a poor performance, but like we were saying, he didn't have any options. Shaw got on it, and he should have been the one who making more things happen. But again, you have Martinez, who just finds players whenever he sees them running. He couldn't even find anyone. So when that was happening, I knew we're just not playing.
You've also got to realise, right, Brighton are a very, very well-drilled team under Graham Potter, right? So they are clearly going to press because they know that we're going to play out from the back, right? So we're looking at the game with like a bird's eye view. I was in the Stretford end, so I can see like things that are going on like from afar. When you're on the pitch, you know this. You can't see everything around you. You've not got 360 peripheral vision. So if you're playing out from the back, like it's very easy to say, oh yes, Shaw's on, Dalot's on, Ericsson's on, if you can ping a ball over there and do that. And it's like, but you don't see that at the time. And bear in mind, if you're a split second off with the pace of your pass, they've got cues to press. And if they nick the ball, they're literally 1-2 passes away from a goal. And you get shit on for it, basically. So it's like you can't just say that, oh, so-and-so was on. It's like it needs to be a clear option that's on. De Gea's passing isn't his strength, right? So his distribution isn't his strength. So he's not the kind of person that if there's like half a yard of space, he's gonna try and thread that ball. He's not a Manuel Neuer. He's not an Alisson. He's not an Edison, right? So he needs to have a bit more space, which means there needs to be more movement off the ball, and there just wasn't yesterday. And that goes across the whole of the back four and McTominay and Fred dropping deeper. There just wasn't enough movement.
100%. Anyway, that's obviously great to get your take on all of this. Ericsson was playing that position, but look, he still did the job that he needed to do wherever he was asked to play. I was happy with that, to be fair. And the only thing is you're kind of losing the natural position of a player who can play them positions. I don't know if you want to play Eriksen and Bruno and try and fit everyone in and square pegs round holes again. I'd rather, you play what the team needs, and then chop and change for that actual position. What do you think
To be honest, I thought Eriksen was the best player on the pitch.
Yeah, he
if
was.
I'm totally honest, and obviously as he got deeper, he had more influence on the game.
Yeah.
Eriksen looks like the player. I said it yesterday on the player ratings with United View, but basically he looks like the player that we want Bruno to be, and he looks like that player that's press resistant, that controls the tempo of the game, that doesn't sulk, just gets on with his job, does what the manager asks him to. He's just very good at possession of the football, very intelligent, plays little cute balls around the corner, left foot, right foot. I just think he's a very, very good footballer, and I'm very happy to pick him up on a free transfer, to be honest.
And Donny did well when he came on as well. He added a little bit extra.
He did, but to be fair, I don't think he had loads of time. And this is the thing with Donny. So, like, I was having a discussion with a couple of lads outside the ground yesterday, and this is the issue we've got at the moment. It's all right saying Donny should play, Donny should play, Donny should play, and I get that, right? But my argument for Donny playing at the moment is that the other players are so bad, right? My argument for Donny playing at the moment isn't that whenever he comes on, he shows that he deserves a chance, because I think he was average yesterday, and I think in every chance he's had, he's been average, to be honest. So I don't think he's not shown me anything that's like, yeah, I deserve to start. What's shown me that he deserves to start is the fact that McTominay and Fred have been so poor, realistically. And that's why, and it's like, that's how far standards have gone. Like, we're clambering for other people to start. Like, everyone's like, oh, Ethan Laird should start against Brentford. Ethan Laird wasn't great when, like, he made mistakes when he played the other week. So it's like, but because Dallot's so poor, we're asking him to play, and it's like we need to get back to a start. Like you were asking for Elanga to play up front before. Elanga's been poor for however many times the last times he's played. But because our striking options were non-existent and we played a false nine, you want him to start. It's like with Manchester United, you should have to earn your place in the starting 11. You should have to, like, show something in training, or like when you get that one chance, you take it. Whereas at the moment, you seem to be getting enough chances and not showing enough, and then complaining that you don't get picked in the 11. It's strange.
Didn't Elanga wasn't he a striker when he first came through, or was he always a
winger? Yeah. Listen, like, Elanga can play up front. I've got no problem with that. And actually, his goal against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League away was very calmly taken, and he scored another one just after that. And actually, like, attributes-wise, I think he's got all the attributes to be a pretty decent player. I just don't think he's ready yet. I also think his football intelligence is a little bit low. I think he's a bit running behind, use his pace kind of thing. I don't think technically he's very, very good, but I think physical attributes-wise, he's excellent. But I just don't see him being ready yet. But if it was the choice of playing him up front, or maybe like a false nine, maybe there's some games where you would play him up front. But then I would argue the fact that we shouldn't be having Elanga as a choice as a striker up front with Manchester United. You mentioned Nunes before, you mentioned Haaland. And, I think Chelsea have just got rid of Werner back to Leipzig because he's not good enough, I just think other clubs are showing aspirations that we're not.
Yeah, you're right. It is true. For me, when it comes to the Donny situation, I look at him as a player who, he's a link man. He's able to do the standard things that not sets the world alight, but it opens up the door to the next stage of play. And I think that's what I like about him. And I think if he's with, like, I don't even know who to put him with, because there's just McTominay or Fred. It doesn't really matter. You just got to choose your poison there. I'd pick Fred maybe with Donny, or McTominay with Donny, just because one of them has to be Donny, because none of them are as good as Donny. Just keeping the ball, moving the ball standard 5 yards, and then going, right, I see that pass there, bang, bang, there you go. And that's what, I don't expect him to be a special player, like a person who does something great, like a great ball, what Eriksen will do or what Bruno will do. But you do need them players who can keep the ball ticking. And I think he's our best player in the position, a bit deeper, that could do that. That's what I'd rather give him a chance to see whether he can just be that player who's standard, who you don't get angry with, who doesn't make stupid mistakes, and also maybe plays a little bit better every now and again. So that's
to be honest, the only teams I've seen him in really so far at United are teams that don't have loads of possession, whereas now we're working on having like 70% of possession during the game. Donny's weakest attributes are off the ball, right? Like, he's not physical enough, he's not quick enough, he doesn't win the ball back as much. Whereas on the ball, his retention's very good, his passing's very good, his movement's good. So if we do become a team that's, you know, has 70% possession, then realistically Donny could fit in. If we're a team that has 50% possession and we're playing against a City or a Liverpool or a Chelsea or whatever, we're realistically not going to keep the ball for the majority of the game. And I don't think we should play in games like that, because I just don't think
100%.
we're going to be needing to win the ball back, right? So I think maybe there's certain games you can play them in and certain games you can't, but we can't afford to carry that many people that are weak off the ball. Like teams that do, they have a destroyer, right? So they have like a Rodri, or back in the day, a Fernandinho, or a Kante, or, you know, like a Vieira or a Keane, or you can go back however far, but teams that played like that had like an animal in the middle of the pitch. And that's when you can carry these flair luxury players. Whereas I think at the moment, it's like we don't have that animal. And that's why signing that six, that tough, combative six, is so important, because it allows us to play more technical players around them, because they're going to mop up and do the job. Like people with threat, like saying, "Oh, Kante's too." When we got linked to Kante's too, or Kante's this. Kante would have made a drastic difference in our team yesterday.
Still a baller. He still would do everything you need.
A drastic difference. Like, I'm not saying he's the best signing in the world, but now we're being linked to Rabiot. Anyone want Kante again now? I'm pretty sure you take Kante over Rabiot. Careful what you wish for.
Well, that's great anyway. Good to hear from you, James. That's been unbelievable. But that's all we got time for today. But when there's another update, we will be coming to you as soon as we can. And let's see this last one. What's this? Donny, time and time again, doesn't do enough for me. And
I'm the same.
Yeah. So we'll see anyway. Obviously, I don't think he's done enough either. But I would like to see him get given a chance to do enough or not do enough. But yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot, James, for coming on. And we'll see you on the next one.